Here we go! Yeah, here we go! Wait, take...
Cowboys.
Throws back of the end zone. There's CeeDee Lamb.
How's everybody doing? Welcome to the first episode of Cowboy Spit. We're going to sit here for the next 30 minutes talking a little cowboy shit. I'm C311. You can follow me on all social media platforms. Shout out to Snug B Productions for this as well. Appreciate it, cuzzo. Alright, so I'm not even going to mess around with it too much. I'm just going to jump straight into it, man. I've been planning this for a while. Talking about Dallas Cowboys, my favorite team since birth. I watch a lot of Cowboy podcasts, man, and I think I can add to it. Big time Cowboy fan, been doing this for a while. Cowboys, we all know, 12-5 for the last couple of years. Can't seem to get past the first round of the playoffs. It's not something that just started, though. Like, this has been going on for a long time. Probably since I was about 12 years old. Can't seem to get into the playoffs. And you get into the playoffs, you can't seem to maneuver yourself into a situation where you can even play for a conference championship, let alone a Super Bowl. There's a reason behind that. I have a philosophy behind it. I got 30 years of evidence I think that can prove it. And let's talk about it. Everything that you need to win football games, the Cowboys have it. They got talent, you got a good quarterback, you can run the ball pretty well. Offensive line throughout the years has been fairly decent. You won a couple of years, especially with the Romo years, with Travis Frederick, especially with Travis Frederick as center. The best offensive line in the NFL. And they've kind of rebuilt that, You're kind of starting over right now, but you drafted two rookies, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. You drafted two rookies that'll kind of plug some holes for some veterans that left the team. And, it seems to be like they're in a pretty good spot. Tyler Guyton looks phenomenal in camp right now, but it's camp. We'll see how it comes in a live game. But you got a superstar wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb, and you play fairly decent defense. Your run stopping ability for the last couple of years has been trash, but we'll talk about that a little bit more too. But you see some of these teams that are flourishing in the NFL right now that have the same problems. They're not that much far along than the Cowboys are. What's the difference? Like what is the difference? And the biggest difference that I can see is coaching. You brought in a Super Bowl winning coach, right? And Mike McCarthy, which, he's a good coach, but can he take you to that next level? Super Bowl winning coach, he won one Super Bowl with a prime Aaron Rodgers. One. And then the year after he won that Super Bowl, he got fired. That should tell you something. There's levels to it. You look at all these premier teams. You look at San Francisco. You look at Kansas City. I hate to say it, but you look at the Philadelphia Eagles. These teams have some things in common that the Cowboys don't have. One, Baltimore Ravens, another one. You look at them, and they have an excellent game plan every time they go into a football game. And they also have the ability to adjust. They also play disciplined football. They're going to do their things, right? And they're going to establish their things inside of a football game. And their goal on defense is not to let you establish yours. They're not going to let you do it, right? And if you do find some success, they're going to make some adjustments to where they're going to stop what you're doing. Or at least they're going to get in the way, right? The Cowboys haven't done those things consecutively for 30 years. They haven't done them. Why is that? It's going to take a strong, no bullshit head coach to come in here that's going to bring some young-minded offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators that are going to come in here, kind of change things up, mix it up, and Jerry's not ready for that. He's not. He had that before. He had that with Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson came in here and ran the football operations of the Dallas Cowboys. That's what they did. And that's what he did, excuse me. And it took all the limelight away from Jerry. They weren't coming to Jerry after games, man. They was coming to Jimmy because Jimmy was the one that was doing, the work for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm asking you this, and I'm asking you this question straight up. Could you imagine the next coach that comes in here and wins the championship for the Dallas Cowboys, where the limelight is going to go? That limelight is coming off of Jerry and going right to this coach that brings this championship to this team. That's where it's going. And if you think Jerry is going to allow that to happen, man, y'all are sadly mistaken. It's not. Which is unfortunate because right now you have, basically right now what it boils down to is you have had two quarterbacks that can clearly carry a football team here in the last 12, 15 years. And they have no hardware to show for it. You see how talented Tony Romo is right now just by him sitting on CBS and calling plays for you. He can tell you by motions how defenses line up, what they're going to do. He can tell you about how offenses are lining up, what they're going to do. Like, this dude is ultra talented. It's obvious that he can read the game, right? It's very obvious. Why is this dude not a Super Bowl champion? Every head coach for the Dallas Cowboys for the last 30 years has done one of two things. They've either done this or they've done this. That's it. That's what they've done. The cameras go straight to Jerry after football games. They don't go to the players. They don't go to the coaches. They'll go to Dak or they'll go to Tony Romo. They'll go to the quarterback, right? But the cameras, after the loss to Green Bay Packers, all the cameras sat up right outside the locker room to talk to Jerry. That's it. That's who they talk to. So last year, 12-5. Great season. Dak's MVP runner-up. Going to the playoff game, you play the Green Bay Packers. And you get the ball ran down your throat. And you don't make any adjustments. And everybody wants to say, Dak laid an egg. Dak did this. Dak did that. Well, Arizona did the same thing. Buffalo damn sure did the same thing. They didn't even throw a pass in the second half on the Cowboys. Micah Parsons, in his podcast, interviewed Jordan Love. He had Jordan Love as guest. This offseason, they've become like best friends. You know what I'm saying? They run around. They're doing everything together. So he had him on his podcast, and they talked about it. He said, what happened in the game? He said, well, it was pretty simple. We had a game plan to run at your 195-pound middle linebacker, and y'all never adjusted to it. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. What it does is it puts the pressure on the offense, right? Offense came out early in the game and tried to establish their run game. It didn't work, right? Hadn't really worked all season. I don't know what made you think it was going to all of a sudden work in the playoffs. So you go 3 and out, punt the ball, right? You actually made them punt on their second drive. You got the ball, and Dak threw an interception. Dak threw an interception on a questionable play by Jerry Alexander. It could have been pass interference, could have been not, right? But now is a chance for your defense to say, okay, you know what I'm saying? That went pretty wrong. Let's tighten this thing up, man. Like, we need to stop this run real quick. And what are they? 3 plays. They're in the end zone, man. And now it's 14-0. Now you're pressing. And I think that's been Dak Prescott's Achilles heel his entire career, is when the Cowboys get behind, he's trying to throw 14-point touchdowns. And that shit just don't happen. It is impossible, right? He throws a stupid pick, trying to squeeze the ball into CeeDee Lamb, who was clearly out of the game as well. I think he had 2 drops right before the pick, and drives before the pick. And, you know what I'm saying, stupid play. Now you're down 21-0. Now you're in trouble. So by the time the offense kicks it into gear, going into halftime and in the second half, man, it's too late. Plus, your defense only made them punt twice. The first time they punted was the second drive of the game. And the last time they punted was, I think, the last drive they had of the game. And they literally just punted out of mercy Because it was like a 4th and 2. They could have just run the ball up the middle like they was doing the whole game. They averaged 7.5 yards per carry in an NFL football game. Shit, that's good in high school. It's good in high school. You know what I'm saying? So after the season is over, you know, we get this big speech from Jerry where Jerry says, hey, you know what I'm saying? We all in. I really don't know what all in meant. Was it all in to not do shit? Because that's what they did. They didn't do shit. Nothing. You had one meaningful signing. That was Eric Kendricks. That's all you had. A middle linebacker. Which you need. I'm not going to sit here and say that you don't. Because it's something that you need. But that's it. You had 2 ultra productive running backs that were going into free agency. Now, a lot of talk was like, okay, they may have priced themselves out of the Cowboys' range, but I think Saquon Barkley signed for 9 and Derrick Henry signed for 6. Was that really out of reach? Derrick Henry was here in Dallas working out. And he's working out with some Cowboy players. And the Dallas Cowboys organization didn't even call him. Not one phone call to him. He bought a house here in Frisco because his wife is from here, I think. You ain't even call him. But you all in, though. And you so far all in that your number one wide receiver is unsigned. Your quarterback is playing on a contract year again. And we all know what happened to him last time he played on a contract year. For those that don't know, he played the New York Giants and left that game in the second quarter with his ankle broken off. I mean, it was swinging, right? But where is the all in? Like, Cowboy fans, man, we tired of this shit. 30 years. You watch the Philadelphia Eagles every year with horrendous salary cap issues, terrible salary cap issues, consistently bring in players to make their team better every single year. That's in our division, right? Every single year they bringing in players. They swinging coaches in there left and right. Now, they got a big problem with their new offensive coordinator. We'll talk about that later. It's Kellen Moore. Yeah, I don't know about that. But you signed Saquon Barkley. You signed him. Now you got to deal with this dude again. And now you got to deal with him on a team that can actually throw the ball too. Jalen Hurts ain't the best quarterback in the world, but he can put the ball down the field to A.J. Brown. But you're double covering their wide receivers, right? And you can't do that no more. You got to play one-on-one with A.J. Brown. And this dude like 6'3", 230. One-on-one. You have to play it honest now. Because if you don't, Saquon Barkley going to run the ball down your throat. And everybody's like, oh, he got injury issues. He's never healthy. He does this. That's because he had to do everything for the Giants. Everything. Dude had to play quarterback, wide receiver, center, tight end. He had to do everything. Hell, he probably played some middle linebacker too. He had to do everything for the team. He ain't got to do that no more. He does not have to do that anymore. Hell, Jason Kelce gone. You can't really tush push no more unless you talk to the new center that's coming in. You ain't got to do the tush push no more. Shit, you just turn around, hand the ball to 26 and watch what happens. Pretty simple. What the Cowboys do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you go to the draft. Tyler Guyton, first round draft pick. Not a bad pick. You pick a defensive end in the second round, which, okay, I get it. Tank is getting old. You pick Marshawn Nealon in the second round. Tank is getting old. Maris Leifau in the third round, linebacker. I get it. Cooper Beebe was in there too. And then after that, man, Ryan Florney, wide receiver. Excellent D2 wide receiver though. Not gonna take anything away from him. Just didn't play big time football, right? Kalen Carson played corner. Kalen Carson been showing out in camp. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Cowboys have drafted pretty decent in the last 5-6 years, which the last 8 years. Hell, you got Dak on a 4th round pick. But it's been some questionable ones too. Mozzie Smith. last year, if you watch Mozzie Smith play last year, incredibly slow off the football. Incredibly slow. Sometimes you watch him come off the ball and the guard or the center, whoever he's lined up over, has literally already left and is in a blocking position or coming forward on a run play, and Mozzie Smith is still in his 3-point stance. Bro, you 290, you dropped from 320 down to 295, and you consistently on your back. That's a bad sign, bro. You were signed to be a run stopper. That's what you were signed to do. That's what you were drafted to do. And then you come in and you don't do that well. And what did the Cowboys do? Let all their good defensive tackles go. Let them all go. Osio Odigizua and Mozzie Smith are your defensive tackles for the 2024 Dallas Cowboys. Name another one. You can't do it. You cannot do it. Your linebacking core this year is going to be considerably better. They kind of moved Micah Parsons off ball a little bit more. It seems that way in training camp, right? Eric Kendricks in the middle. He's a dog. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make a lot of tackles. DeMarion Overshown coming off the ACL injury, dog. He's going to make things happen. Leifau, the rookie, been flying around in training camp. Marquise Bell, even though he's 195 pounds, dude is not scary. He will stick his head in there. He just lighting the ass. That's not his fault. That's how he's physically made. But the dude makes a lot of plays, right? So your linebacking room is going to be considerably better. Your safeties, you still got Malik Hooker back deep. Strong safety is going to kind of be a battle. Maybe some Wanye Thomas in there, maybe some other things. Don't really know what that's going to look like. Your corners, Trayvon Diggs coming off of surgery, but Trayvon had his ACL injury late. He had it early in the season, so he's had a lot of time to recover. Right? He's just now starting to get acclimated back into practice. He should be on the practice field here in the next couple of weeks. DaRon Bland is DaRon Bland. He has problems with big physical receivers, like he had his hands full with DK Metcalf. He still walked out of the game with a pick, though, but he had his hands full with DK. He doesn't really do well against physical receivers, but you put him against little fast dudes, and he going to eat their ass up. Jordan Lewis is back, and, you got some guys in camp, like we were talking about the rookie that just got drafted, Kalen Carson. Excuse me, I lost track for a minute. Kalen Carson has really been playing well in camp. I mean, really well. He got into a little altercation with Bevan Spann, the rookie tight end. Man, he threw him around like a rag doll. I'm like, okay, man, this dude, here come the scrap. And you need those type of players on your defense. You have to have those type of players on your defense. That's why I'm so happy that they bought in Eric Kendricks, because Eric Kendricks is a dog. He is going to play football. So then you come to the offensive side of the ball. You got this Micah Parsons contract deal that's going on the defensive side of the ball, man. You signed Trayvon Diggs to a long-term deal, right? He's already signed. He got hurt, unfortunately, last year, the year he signed the contract, but he's going to be, he'll be back. That's what you're hoping. You come to the offensive side of the ball, and you got some holes. Your right tackle, Terrence Steele, did not play well last year. He was coming off an ACL injury, though. He tore his ACL late in the year. He did. He's coming off an ACL injury last year. He did not play well. He didn't seem comfortable. This year in camp, though, he looks ultra comfortable. You probably got the best right guard, one of the best guards that football has ever seen is Zach Martin right next to him, so that helps. So then you come to the center position. Tyler Bialish was your center after Travis Frederick, and he was never going to fill those shoes. But Tyler Bialish, for a couple of years, man, he was consistently in the backfield, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. That's not a good place for the center to be. He improved last year. He did. He improved. He got better. But I think it was time to do something different. There were some times in some football games where you really needed your center to make an impact. We need to run the ball up the middle. You're sending your two guards. You got two all-pro guards right beside you, man, and they blowing right up the middle, but they coming right at the center. So you go and draft Cooper Beebe. Brock Hoffman has come in and looked phenomenal in camp as well. So you got a real full-fledged battle going on in center, right? And that's good. Competition is always good, especially in a position where you need it. Center has a lot of responsibilities. Center's supposed to call out the defense, supposed to call out the blocking scheme. Dak kind of did that a lot last year. You know what I mean? But when Travis Frederick was there, especially for Tony Romo, for a lot of Tony Romo's, his successes in the Dallas Cowboy offense, Travis Frederick took a lot of that pressure off of him. I'm hoping either Brock Hoffman or Cooper Beebe can do the same thing for Dak. I'm hoping, because Tyler Biadasz didn't do a good job at it. Tyler Smith, left guard, all-pro, first-team all-pro. Dude is just nasty. He holds a little bit every now and then, but shit, you can live with that. Left tackle. Tyler Guyton has been better than expected. He played right tackle at OU. There was a lot of times it looked like he was getting beat, you know what I'm saying, at OU, but he's a phenomenal athlete. He's huge. I want to say he's like 6'7", like 325. Dude is huge. He don't even look like a tackle. He look like a power forward. Like, dude is huge. Super quick on his feet. I mean, you see a lot of camps. You go and look at some of these highlights from camp. You see a lot of highlights where him and Micah Parsons one-on-one, and Micah Parsons going at him. He trying to get him ready for the season. You can tell that, and he's doing a good job with it. You know what I mean? He's doing a good job with it, and you cannot really be upset with that. You cannot. It looks like that's where that's gonna line up and work. You got Asim Richardson that he's kind of in the mix. You got second year player. I can't remember his name. We can take that part out. But anyway, your offensive line looks like that it can be functional. Pretty good run blocking. Decent pass blocking, and you can live with that as long as it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to get Dak killed. That's the most important thing for the season. You got a $59 million quarterback behind you. You don't want to get him killed. Now you move to wide receiver. Your number one wide receiver is not even in camp yet. You haven't signed him. You've maneuvered a couple of contracts to have enough for enough room to sign him, and you haven't signed him. The Dallas Cowboys have money. They have money. The franchise is worth $12 billion. They got money. You haven't signed your number one wide receiver, and we're going into week 2 of camp, week 3 of camp, because they already in pads. Coming up to your first preseason game. He's not going to play in that preseason game regardless, but he's not in camp. He is not building the continuity that is necessary to be successful for the season. Him and Dak got a good thing going. You need to sign his ass, and you need to hurry up. You got Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is a pretty good wide receiver. Probably more so built for the slot, but right now he's your number 2 receiver. Jalen Tolbert is your 3rd receiver on the team, and Jalen Tolbert is showing his naked ass in training camp right now. He is showing up. He is showing that I can be a number 2 receiver in this league. And he's going against a pretty good secondary. They're not terrible, And he's doing the things that he's doing in training camp with playing against a decent secondary. Tyron Billy Johnson is your 3rd receiver. You got him from your 4th receiver, You got him from from the LA Chargers in a trade. I don't think anybody expected him to be doing what he's doing in training camp right now. Like, he is showing out. Playing really good football. Knows how to get open, runs excellent routes, and got a little speed behind him too. Ryan Flourney, Kevontae Turpin. They can run. Flourney is a big dude. Flourney is one of those 225, 230 wide receivers, man. He looks the part, you know what I mean? Jalen Brooks, another one, playing good in training camp. what this is doing with CeeDee Lamb being out of camp is making Dak use everybody. And that's good, right? Spread the ball around. When you need CD, right, you can use him. CD going to give you 85, 90 catches a year, every year. He going to give you 1,000 yards every year. You know what I mean? Led the league last year. Well, I think he was second in yards, second in touchdowns behind Tyreek Hill. Great wide receiver. The issue is that because of your delays with everything that's going on, and I'm pretty sure it's on both parts, right? You let Justin Jefferson sign with Minnesota for $35 million a year. That's a lot of fucking money. A lot of money. So now CeeDee Lamb is like, hey man, like I'm clearly in the top 3, right? And I'm probably not gonna make $35 million a year, but y'all gonna have to give me 34.5. That's for sure. You're going to have to do that. So you've stretched out these contracts now to where this is what you're looking at right now where you need to sign your number 1 receiver. About $34.5 million a year. Right? Your running back room, you have prime opportunities. Even though your draft picks weren't that bad. Like I really don't have any issues with what they did in the first 4 rounds. With the exception of you probably could have took Lee Fowl out, right? And drafted one of these running backs. You needed one. Like, you needed one bad. And a lot of those running backs, Braylon Allen, for example, went to the Jets. They already got running backs. They went and got another one. Right? And I'm talking about a big back, too. Somebody in that Derrick Henry type of stature. You see what I'm saying? You had an opportunity to get him, and you passed it up. But Jerry told everybody, that's that day 2. I think it was that day 2. It was a press conference right before that day 2. He told everybody that we kind of want to see what Zeke is going to do. So you're bringing Zeke back. You got rid of Zeke. You got rid of him for a reason. Production dropped. And last year, he wasn't terrible in New England, right? He wasn't terrible. That last game of the season, I think he went for over 100 yards. But he wasn't 2018 Zeke. He wasn't him. He's not going to be him anymore. Rico Dowdell is probably going to be your starting your starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm not saying Rico is terrible. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. But one of these young running backs probably would have come in here and took that spot, right? Zeke is going to give you some yards. But one thing about Zeke, though, is that he is going to fall forward. He's going to give you 3 yards and a cloud of dust. And he is always going to fall forward. That's what he's going to do. I am glad that his last play as a Dallas Cowboy is not that play against San Francisco in the playoffs where he was the center and ended up on his ass. I am glad that happened, right? But Zeke as your feature back is just not going to be the answer. Deuce Vaughn is dangerous with the football in his hands once he's past the line of scrimmage. He's small. He's little. Getting through the line of scrimmage is going to be Deuce Vaughn's issue for his entire NFL career. They're lining him up a little bit in the slot. Cowboys don't throw the ball to their running backs. They just don't. They don't throw the ball to their running backs. You had Tony Pollard last year who, he played slot receiver in college, son. Obviously, he can catch the football. He can run routes. You didn't throw him the ball that much. Not a lot. You had an opportunity to kind of use him like San Francisco uses Christian McCaffrey, right? The running game's not working. I can swing you out and get you the ball and just get you in the secondary and just let you do damage. You understand what I'm saying? And they just don't do that. So how's Deuce Vaughn going to work? Because that's where he's the most dangerous. If you give him the football in space, right? And sometimes you have to create that space, especially with a smaller stature player that's running behind 300-pound people and got 300-pounders and 250-pounders chasing him, and he might weigh $195 and he's 5'6". Like, you have to be creative and get him come up with ways to get him the football. You have to do that. You have to. And the Cowboys have shown you that they're not very good at that. You look at the schedule, they are playing the first place schedule this season. They are. It's not. They play some good teams. 12-5 ain't gonna happen. It's not as bad as I want it to happen, and as bad as the fan base is going to want it to happen. It's just probably not gonna happen. 10-7, 9-8. That's more realistic. 8-9 is not unrealistic. It's not. Much better at home last year. But you took a tremendous ass whooping your last home game of the season. Got the preseason coming up. I didn't even get an opportunity to talk about Trey Lance yet. Trey Lance has just looked horrendous in camp. This is supposed to be the guy that they brought in that potentially could have been Dak's replacement. It has not been good. He has shown on multiple occasions that he can't read defenses. And in order to play quarterback in the National Football League, you have to be able to read and manipulate defenses to do what you want to do. And he cannot do that. He can't. San Francisco realized they wasted a draft pick on him, and they got rid of him for a 4th-round pick. Number 3 pick in the draft got traded 2 years later for a 4th-round pick. Should have told you something. So, where do they go from here? I don't know. We'll see. And we're going to see it every week. We're going to talk about this once a week. I'm going to do some short lives from the house. We'll do some post-game stuff. We'll do some pre-game and post-game stuff. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to give you a real perspective. I'm not going to give you a fan perspective, even though I am a humongous Cowboy fan. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth about the team, what it looks like, how they played. If they play great, we're going to talk about it. But if they play bad, we're going to talk about that too. I love them, but I'm a football fan. And I appreciate good football. And what I'm hoping is that the Cowboys give us that this year. I'm a little pessimistic about it, but I can be turned into an optimist. I really can. And I hope that I am. I pray that I am. But to give you a realistic point of view of the Dallas Cowboys this year, I don't know, middle of the pack team, maybe make a wild card spot, hopefully. But it wouldn't surprise me if they win 4 or 5 games. I wouldn't be surprised. All right. We'll continue this next week. We're going to talk about it. If you guys run across this, share it. Share it. Subscribe to me. We're going to try to do big things. We're going to try to do it. And I believe that we can. Until next week, everybody, thank you for tuning in.